Sorry, I'm muted. So let's start that over. Welcome to episode 38 of Unfiltered, guys. I'm your host, ChanManV, and we're going to talk lots of StarCraft 2 topics today. Gonna do some wrap-up talk with Steven and Kennigit here on the MLG GameOn event. Gonna talk some IEM 100K Championship and follow up with some arcade ESF disbanding and some Blizzzard layoffs. And then we're going to take some Q&A from you guys. That you guys can post your questions in the Reddit thread here. I'll post it again if you guys know the drill. And we'll take the top upvoted questions at the end and read them off. And can't wait for those. Some good questions today, so I can't actually wait for that part. But let's welcome my co-host each and every week, Destiny. What's up, Destiny?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Back home from the Root House?
That I am, yeah.
Awesome. And then my guest, or our guest today, Kennigit, who's been on the show before, but always a pleasure to have him on. What's up, James?
Not too much. Working away. It's late here. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on, man, with given that it's such late. Actually, would you keep late hours over there or no?
Esports is like 24/7 job, but
Right.
Yeah, it kind of depends.
Exactly. All right, let's just jump right in. Let's talk about the MLG GameOn, and wrapped up this weekend. Steven, obviously it's a 2-week event for the most part, but the finish was quite great. Some pretty good matches, some epic moments, and the cast, you and Kaz, I think, were pretty phenomenal the whole time. So give me your thoughts, kind of your last thoughts on the whole event and how it went.
Wow, it was a lot of fun. Many events, such fun. Wow. I like it.
Were the stats a lot better this week or this past week versus the one before?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about. I was actually really surprised when we finished stuff up about everything in a good way. So I'm gonna be back there in a bit. I don't know how. Has anything been announced for like upcoming tournaments or anything from anybody?
For MLG? No, not
for anybody. MLG or Twitch?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. I mean, I'll be back in a couple weeks. We'll do more stuff. It'll be lots of fun, alright?
Okay, so I guess that means there's going to be more of these type of events.
I never said that.
You never said that.
Oh, no, wait. We announced it during the fucking tournament. There's like going to be the Blu-ray Enders game invitational thing or whatever. There's going to be some stuff going on with that. They haven't released details yet, but I'm pretty sure that announcement's coming pretty soon. So.
This is MLG or this is Twitch or... Is GameOn or what is this?
We just announced it on behalf of MLG, and I'm pretty sure GameOn is going to be involved.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So what'd you think about the... Actually, Kennigit, did you catch any of it?
No, but I think it's really important for community building, and I like the initiative on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. Overall it's good, but it's really late hours for me because it's North American based. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. For those that don't know, real fast, wait, Kennigit, can you tell us all what you do now? Because I think a lot of people might still think of you as like the Team Liquid guy.
Oh yeah. Come on, he's a project. Oh, awesome.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm Team Liquid at heart, right? Yeah, I moved to Germany last May to work for ESL, and I'm product manager for WCS Europe, and I work on Dota as well for EMS1.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice. Just so you can be up.
So overall, with the MLG GameOn event, I thought so. A lot of people talk about it as if it had a home story feel to it, but I actually think it was a little bit different. I don't know. What do you think about that comment, Steven? Do you think it was did have that
I
kind
could
of?
see why people would say that. Me and Cats were like super casual the entire time. We were pretty casual the entire time.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was looking to give it a Home Straight Cup feel, or not. But I mean, like neither of us have a lot of experience casting, so I don't think it would have made much sense to go into it as like the try hard, like play-by-play analytical cast or whatever. And obviously, me and Cats have a long history or whatever, so I don't think we'd be playing to our strengths to do that anyway. So it was pretty
yeah.
much just me and him bullshitting around through all the matches. We tried to keep up with the matches, though. If that makes sense. I think we kept up close enough.
No, I mean I think the formula was actually
Second.
really good, just from just standpoint of just entertainment for viewers and just with the games and with you guys commentary. James, what do you think of that? I mean, because there's always been a knock on NA StarCraft, right? That it's just like a lower level and like not a lot of people are gonna watch it. But I think mixing in just this more casual, entertaining duo, casting duo, it has kind of been frowned upon in the past in some ways. Even though I think the production team and events have always wanted to have like really big name casters. But
Wait, frowned upon what?
or I mean, frowned upon for I guess really hardcores, meaning that like, the casting was just the casters. I think brought more of the viewers than the actual players and gameplay itself. But in this case, I kind of felt that what you and Cass brought to it was actually as important as the gameplay, at least for the event. Kind of want to get your thoughts, James. What do you think of I guess that dynamic? I mean, not having just having more of a casual cast with two really entertaining guys like Destiny and Cats, as well. Just maybe making up for a little bit for the level of play in NA.
Yeah, I mean the entire landscape, and this will go into what we talk about when we talk about IEM. The landscape now is really different than what it was for 2 years ago when you're talking about creating like entertainment experience through StarCraft esports. Like a year and a half, well, 2 years ago, I guess now, basically you had to get the very best players with a shitload of prize money to drive viewership, and that's not the case anymore. Like the prize pool is, small, but the prize pool doesn't matter for that event. Basically, you can see like the objective of it is to make it financially viable. So if you think about like the overall cost for that thing is much more than 5,000, right? They got to pay Destiny, who probably costs like 15 to 20,000 per day. You got to fly in business class, hotel, you got Cats. I don't know what he makes, and then like all the time that they spent planning and broadcasting, right? So it's actually quite expensive to run one of those things. So starting out small and starting to develop some interest around NA is really, really important. And yeah, I really hope they keep doing it because it certainly can't help the NA space.
I think
And
I
if
think it's
Destiny's
important to
saying
note.
it's no, go ahead.
I think it's important to note too that be careful not to like, or for ChanManV, like I thought that the entertaining casting or whatever with me and Cass was fun, but I mean I think that by no means should there be like one answer to that, Like even though I liked what me and Cats did and I thought it was a lot of fun, I would never say like everybody should only do that. Much the same way where there are people who like play by play and analysis or whatever, and I mean that's good too. But I think having variety is good sometimes depending on the situation, and also real fast, I thought that the level of play in this tournament was actually pretty good, especially once we hit the semifinals and moved on. I thought that all of the games were pretty good. There weren't any like really stupid, like wow, what the fuck are these guys doing games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good games at the end, like you said, but there were also these really classic moments that I feel like you guys created. It was a combination of what the play. I mean, it's serious, right? I mean, you don't get to see those moments. I mean, that's what we live for in the community. Our moments. I don't want to say that we live for these like YouTube highlights and Reddit threads and that sort of thing, but it's just moments, right? Memories, and so we're gonna remember some of those moments, with the whole KXC thing or the Scarlet moment, just with that, and even just the whole like Dark Horse thing, right? With In Control. I mean, I was laughing my ass off during all that, and I mean, it just makes up the character of the event when I remember it. So that's kind of what I was just getting at. I just felt like there was some character to this event, and that's just really important. And hopefully we'll see some more of that. But okay, let's move on, and let's talk about IEM. And we got Kennigit here to really answer any questions that we have regarding just the big announcement that you guys had about the 100K world champion in Katowice. That's how you pronounce it, right? And
Katowice, yeah.
Katowice, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's a winner take all, and you guys have never done that, and a lot of people have really. I guess I mean some of the community has really frowned upon just having just kind of this really top heavy prize that you see a lot more in the Korean events. You don't really see so much in the foreign events. So what made you guys decide to do that for just this time around? And the biggest at least the biggest motivations.
Yeah, so I'll try and tailor my rant on it. It really actually has very little to do with the prize itself. We could have made it $50,000 and probably had a similar effect. We could have made it $1 million if we'd, gone and set $1 million as a goal and done, I don't know, crowdfunding and probably extra sponsorship and stuff. Like it's possible. And done, I don't know, like $1 million, winner take all. The problem right now is that the StarCraft space isn't dead. That terminology is pretty waste and pretty loaded and pretty dumb, to be honest. But it's certainly not growing. And the way that marketing budgets work is that a marketing manager has a certain amount of money to spend in a given year, and he wants to maximize the amount of people that can see his product or his brand or whatever. So, a company goes to MLG or they go to DreamHack or they go to us and they say, listen, we've got $50,000, $100,000 we want to spend on esports with you. How can we maximize the number of viewers? There's nobody in esports right now that's saying spend it on StarCraft. It's simple, right? Like MLG did a $5,000 tournament. That's great. They just announced a $60,000 tournament tonight for Dota. That's 12 times bigger. DreamHack's opening up DreamHack's doing a brand new TV studio, which looks really cool. They're not running StarCraft out of that thing. They're running a Dream League. It's Dota League, right? So the Unfiltered show. We sit in a room and discuss, okay, what are we going to do with IEM with StarCraft? And basically everything comes up that we can possibly do, including, does StarCraft even have a place right now? Like, we discussed that, right? Because you have to. Because MLG dropped StarCraft, viewership's declining. And basically the consensus we came to is that the whole playing field is shifted. It's no longer about putting a whole bunch of players together and on a super high skill cap with a whole bunch of prize money and thinking you're going to drive viewership like that, because WCS exists and WCS supports a lot of players. And when we look at the caliber of players that we think are going to make it or want to make it into the World Championship and the type of event we're trying to create, those sorts of players are making a lot of money. And so we basically put our foot in the ground and said, listen, we can create this tournament where we give out, I don't know, like 30 grand, 20 grand to this guy, 15, 10, blah, 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 and no one gives a shit. Simple as that.
Okay.
Right? Do either of you know who won Katowice last year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. ChanManV. Who was it again?
I don't even know.
I don't remember.
I have no idea. I actually don't even know. Right? And I discussed it. Yeah. I mean, Carmack knows, I'm sure. I have no clue. And I'd imagine most of the people in your chat and most of the people on Reddit have no clue. One of the reasons that this is the case is that most of the tournaments in the space operate on budgets where they're having to report quarterly, report per event to say, this is how well we did and this is how much better we did than the month before. And so in order to do that, you have to keep driving it. So, there was tournaments that were paying players to come to their events, paying their travel and not announcing it. All sorts of shady stuff that the community never heard about. And IEM, frankly, kept its nose pretty clean with this and had a lower prize pool than what people were doing, really flat distribution. And it doesn't drive the same viewership, but it supports a lot of the mid-tier players. But when you look at what we want to do with Katowice, it's like, yeah, we could apply the same model, but it doesn't really make sense this year for us. We've got WCS, which kind of takes a lot of the limelight away of what, the premium S-class experience is going to be.
Yeah.
And so for tournaments like MLG and DreamHack and IEM to be interesting, you got to do unique stuff. Like MLG could have done a GameOn Invitational, invited a bunch of Korean players. And you know who would have watched it? Nobody, because they can watch it in GSL and they can watch it in WCS.
Yeah.
So instead, they looked at the market and they said, okay, this is kind of smart. We can get a bunch of people that fans like In Control. In Control was in that tournament, and no one would have expected In Control to be competing right now, right?
Off of Scarlet,
but it was probably super interesting games, and people tuned in. And as soon as he took a game off Scarlet, it went #1 Reddit, and that's the sort of stuff that has to be done. You have to be willing to completely flip the board and figure out what's cool and what's going to get people to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
and as against it as a lot of people are, so think of it this way. Somewhere between 60 and 80% of the people just watching this right now are blocking all of your ads. And they're blocking all of Destiny's ads, and they're blocking all of the players' ads when they're streaming. 60 to 80%. And what was the feedback in those threads? Like 50-50?
Yeah, so it's pretty half.
Yeah, so
pretty much. So
statistically, there's people in those threads really riled up about this and saying it doesn't support the players who block ads and block.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most insane thing I can even imagine, right? So when people, like, I saw people in the thread saying, like, hey, what did you think of the feedback? Like, there's educated opinions and there's just opinions, right? And a lot of the opinions that came out were interesting. Some of them are not that interesting. Some of them are as valid as if I asked my parents what they thought of it.
Well, okay.
So, I mean, we basically have to take it... we basically took a stand and said, this is what we're going to do to make this event really interesting and drive a lot of hype around it, try and push StarCraft as far as we can and compete in this space where there's League of Legends going on, there's Counter-Strike going on, which is already taking over. There's Dota events where people and sponsors want to invest their money. And if we want to, I don't want to say the word save, but if we want to push StarCraft forward, we as tournament organizers outside the WCS system have to be willing to do riskier shit.
Okay, so I can think of two questions that kind of spawned from this. So first off, you started this whole thing by saying that the actual amount of money didn't even matter in this decision.
No.
So
it's a single elimination tournament.
Yeah,
that's what matters to me.
Yeah, I think it's single. So why choose 100K? I guess that's the first question.
I mean, it's a nice, cool number that works.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, and then secondly, what has the player feedback been like? Do you know? Have they?
Yeah. We looked at it a lot. And we talked to a lot of players, and basically everybody who's a championship quality player. You saw some of them on Twitter, MC, JYP, Parting. They all went, holy shit, this is amazing. And the guys who are not in that class of player, who go to an event and they look at the bracket and where they're placing and where they think they're going to end up and say, okay, I'll make $2,000 if I end up in round of 16 or something. That's fine. Like, that's a legit career. But that's not what this event is about for us. We only want guys attending that event and taking a risk on those matches who really think they can win. Because for us, that's what the entertainment experience has to be. Mm-hmm. Like, think of how many round of 16 or round of 32 matches you've watched an event where it was just like everyone rolled their eyes because you knew where it was going to go one way or the other.
So is this going to be the first of many? Because a lot of people, a lot of comments in the Reddit thread for this were, okay, if you do it this one time, but let's not have this become a regular thing.
I don't think.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean that every year we're going to do a winner take all tournament. We might do something completely different, right? Like me and Carmack go crazy when we argue and we battle each other, and Red Eye gets in there and we all fight about what's a good idea and what's not. Mm-hmm. Like, we just throw out every idea. We talk. What if we just do what if we start doing Starbo show matches at IEM? Does that make sense? I don't know. We just throw out everything. Hobbit said to me today, "Why don't you make the entire thing Starbo?" I thought, well, maybe we should talk about that. It's not balanced, but you know what I mean? Like, we just have to be willing to do stuff with StarCraft to make it to make it interesting to watch. And
Okay.
as upset as people, initially got, the ones who didn't quite get it, they'll watch, or they won't.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
and it's,
Steve.
what Kennigit is saying is like really, really important because Adabisi's being really snide in chat, like new gimmick next year. I mean, you can call it a gimmick if you want, but stuff like this has to happen so that people can see the data and people can get the numbers on it. Like, I mean, even Kennigit right now has no fucking idea like how popular this will actually be, or if it'll actually turn out to be, a net positive effect doing the prize pool distribution like this. But it's impossible to say without actually launching the event, getting the feedback, and then seeing how things go. We can't just continue to run the same tournaments in the same formats with no deviation from what everybody has established as being like acceptable StarCraft, because that's not going to work. I mean, the advertising in the StarCraft space is kind of fucking pointless because Dota and League all cover the exact same demographics, and there's very few people that just watch StarCraft these days. So if I were to approach Kennigit, like I've got a business where I build computers and I'm like, yo, I want to advertise to like a bunch of kids that will get computers. Like, why the fuck would I ever want to advertise to a StarCraft tournament when all those kids watch Dota or League anyway, and the numbers are way larger, So something different has to happen, right? What you can call it a gimmick or you can call it a silly idea, like whatever the fuck you want. At the end of the day, if it brings in more numbers, if it's got all these fucking people, because there's a ton of people right now who are arguing about it on Reddit who might not have ever known that the tournament exists otherwise, And there is no more good driving force for StarCraft 2 discussion, right? The StarCraft subreddit is pretty fucking dead. I'm pretty sure there's less than 2,000 people on that subreddit at any given time. Team Liquid doesn't drive viewers to StarCraft anymore like it used to. There are 1,900 people on the front page of StarCraft right now. So like anything that generates more conversation or is new or unique or gives a fresh look on things is really important to try because it gives you numbers and it gives you information and it gives you more stuff to work with, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was...
So 2 quick points.
Go ahead.
Sorry, 2 quick points to go with that. Since that announcement, 2 guys I haven't talked to in like 2 years who I went to high school with both messaged me, and we basically had the same conversation. I used to play StarCraft 2, and I used to watch a lot of tournaments, and then I stopped and started watching League, Dota, whatever. But I'm probably going to end up watching that. It looks cool. That's what we need. That's
what part of it looks cool to them? Like, just purely that it's...
No, listen, just that it's something new, it's fresh, it's an exciting concept. Is it the most unique concept? Certainly not. Winner takes all has been done in everything, right? But it hasn't been done to this scale with tournaments because the system before WCS wouldn't have allowed it. Tournaments are very much in competition with each other for viewership, and everyone looks at, what's this tournament doing for prize pool? What's their players pool size? Because MLG's effectively dropped StarCraft, and they're going to bring it back a little bit. The space is different now, and so there's a lot more room for experimentation, and we simply have to do it because the numbers do not make sense otherwise. I talked to a sponsor today. This morning, I talked to a sponsor who wants to invest into a team, and he asked me, should I invest into StarCraft or Dota? And the reason he got in contact with me is because someone else in the company sent him and said, James knows StarCraft and Dota. And I said, it's not even a question. You go and invest your money in Dota. Because that's got 500-600% growth month over month, and StarCraft doesn't. And I don't want to have those conversations, but I mean, realistically, I just have to, right? So if I'd want to support players in the long run, if I want someone like Baby Knight to make money on sponsorship in the long run, we have to drive viewership. It has to make sense for a sponsor to come back and say, okay, you know what, we should sign this player or we should sign this team. I want it to make sense. I know Victor on Liquid Nazgul said it sounded good, but you just can't be happy for this sort of thing. How many players have left Team Liquid? And I love Victor, and I obviously love Team Liquid, but how many players have left Team Liquid and haven't been replaced? That's downsizing through attrition. The other model is you just cut players, which is what EG has done. So the space is downsizing, right? It's not like everyone's actively signing new players and looking for new talent. The space is downsizing itself, and the only way to, defibrillate this thing is to do crazy shit, and we have to. And so my feeling with it is either you line up shoulder to shoulder with tournament partner, third-party tournaments and push forward, or get out of the way. Because the model that has existed for the last 3 years does not work in the WCS space. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, I definitely am a proponent of trying anything and just being creative. And I think that is exactly what you guys are doing. But again, my biggest thing was just like whether you guys are going to continue doing that. And, you guys think that this model is really a healthy model for trying to breathe life back into StarCraft. Like,
I have no clue.
Yeah.
If
I guess
50
we'll just have to
million
wait and see.
people tune in, if 50 million people tune in or something, then I might go, oh shit, wait, maybe this is actually a good thing for a world championship.
I mean,
But
when is
realistically, we'll look at the feedback of the community and the feedback of the players after it's done. Look at how this compared to our StarCraft event last year. How does this compare to all the other games in the space? And is there a better idea? Is there something can we take this model and evolve it next year? Do we change it completely? Do we go back to the standard, 20%, 15% split, whatever? We don't know. And for us, this has to be data-driven decisions. And because we have this long-standing relationship with Intel, we're able to take this sort of a risk. The IEM has been sponsored by Intel for 9 years now.
Yeah.
And with the scale of the budget, there's no tournament in the world that is doing that. 9 years on an esports tournament, it's like they trust us a lot to do the right thing with the product, right? But they also have responsibility to higher ups to say, hey, does it make sense that ESL is going to spend money on StarCraft? And we say, yes, it does make sense, and here's why: because the community is still passionate, and we think we can turn them in the right direction with some, interesting concepts, and we'll figure out what those concepts have to be. GameOn is a great example of that. Put In Control back in a tournament, have him tweet about it. However many people tuned into it was certainly probably revenue net positive, and it makes sense to do more of it. And so we're going to figure out now: does it make sense to do
when
more
is this
of
event going to?
or something else?
When is this event going to be exactly? Like the date?
March. What's it? 15th, 16th.
Okay, so not
The
too
third
far.
week of
Not,
March.
not too far. Yeah, I wasn't
Second
sure if
week.
it was going to be like in May or something. I'm wondering
No,
the
it's in
timing
March.
of the
March
announcement.
15th.
Okay,
15th,
that's pretty
16th.
soon. So about 6 weeks from now. All right,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. So Sao Paulo, it's this week, right? IEM is this week, right? So in Brazil.
Sao Paulo is this weekend in Brazil, and then we have IEM Cologne coming up, and 2 people from each of those will qualify, and then there's a few more that qualify after.
Okay, good stuff. Anything to add, Steven? Last bit or?
No, sounds good. I mean, I agree with everything.
All right. Yeah, so really
It
excited
has to
to
happen.
see.
We can't keep running the same StarCraft tournaments in the same format over and over and over again to dwindling viewer numbers that are all covered by other games anyways. I mean, that's not a successful business model or a sustainable one. So,
Right.
Yep. All right, let's move on and let's talk about some, I guess, news in the StarCraft community recently. And we'll start off with, I guess, yesterday the big thing was ESF disbands on January 28th is basically the tweet that we saw, and today is the 28th, so I think officially today ESF is going to be gone, and I guess it's not really that big of a surprise. I mean, we kind of saw GSTL pretty much dissolve. I mean, it was down to like 4 teams last season, and Kespa seems to be still marching on, and this year the production seems to be at another level from last year. So was it surprise to you guys, James?
No.
Yeah.
I think it's been a long time coming, and most of us have, anyone who knew how that Kespa system works and what ESF was trying to do said, it's a extremely steep incline for them to go up, and the nature of the StarCraft space for them, it just wasn't making sense, and I think ESF has effectively been dead much longer than since today, right? A lot of those teams moved over to Kespa. Ultimately their goal was to pull sponsorship in collectively for the teams, and it wasn't as successful, I guess, as it needed to be to make that organization viable.
Yeah. Steven, any thoughts?
sucks for them. But I mean, nobody's really that surprised.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, some people are sad, I guess, in the community that it's disbanded. But a lot of the teams are still here, guys. It's just they're going to be over in Kespa now. So just be watching them in Pro League versus just GSTL in the past. All right, next up we got so some layoffs were announced with Blizzard. I think Slasher might have announced it like on Gamer with an article. The biggest, most notable person that has left or has been laid off has been David Ting, former general manager of IPL, and I think was currently general manager and VP. I forget the exactly title for, I guess, the media Blizzard, some kind of media title for the Blizzard StarCraft stuff. So what do you guys think of that? I mean, is there anything in addition to that? I mean, I think David said that it was just basically a relocation thing. He didn't want to relocate, so that was really the basis of all of it. Can you get?
I mean, if that's what he said, that's what it is, right? I mean, you will probably never get anything more than that out of the company or out of him. But yeah, I mean, my understanding is that they, based on that article and based on everything we're hearing from people actually moving, is that they want to consolidate it.
Yeah,
which
closing
is
that office down, basically.
That's how Blizzard North worked, right? Blizzard North ran independently for a while, and then they pulled the whole team to Irvine. So it makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So that Bay Area office, which had a lot of the IPL folks or former IPL folks, I think is going to be shutting down, and they're going to be moving to Irvine if they do. I think Kevin's going to be moving at least, right? Kevin Naki, I think, hasn't left, so we'll see some of those guys down there. Let's talk a little bit about arcade talk. I think we spent last week talking about it, at least Steven and I, but wanted to see what your thoughts are on the whole free arcade and how, I guess, it's being marketed, and if you think it's going to maybe add, bring some life into StarCraft 2 also.
I mean, it's the single most important thing that basically everybody's been asking for, from teams to players to tournament organizers, is we need to get multiplayer as free to play as possible to start pulling people in. I think this is it's absolutely the step in the right direction. I think everyone has some story about playing big game hunters with their friends on a local LAN, and if we can bring back that sort of environment where people on a LAN party go, hey, let's play whatever, then that's very good for everybody. Now it's just a case of marketing this thing. I think the messaging has to be pretty clear that, hey, StarCraft 2 multiplayer is quote-unquote free-to-play now. Okay, ladder's not, but all of the cool stuff that you want to do with your casual gaming is free.
Yeah, they could have got away with that. They could have got away with just saying it was free-to-play, period, right? I mean,
well, knowing Blizzard and working with Blizzard, no.
Okay.
Because when you say that, you probably have to add like 4 asterisks that says, well, actually, single player's not, and you don't get the ladder, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
so,
sure.
I mean, but there has to be some very simple messaging out of that gets pushed over and over and over again. And yeah, it's not quite an easy problem to solve, but it's the problem that needs to be solved.
Okay. Steven, I know you've been streaming some Starbow, at least a little bit, while you were...
Yeah, Starbow is really fucking cool. I really like it.
Yeah, what part of it do you like? Besides the fact that sentries are not there.
No, I mean, the games go on for a long time. It's not like... Playing Starbow has made me look at StarCraft 2 a lot differently, because I realized StarCraft 2, I feel like the entire game was like a rush to get maxed in like 12 or 13 minutes, like every single time, or else you're doing like a really big timing attack. And the pacing of Starbow just seems so much more progressive, or like staggered, I guess. Where I don't know, I played a few games that would drag on for, well, not drag on, but would carry on for like 15, 20, 30 minutes, and there was like non-stop kind of stuff happening, and it wasn't just like okay, let's bullshit, get max death balls, move, and like the battle's over in 2 seconds, I really like the pacing of Starbow, and I guess Brood War, to circle jerk that shit, and the pacing of Starbow and Brood War just feels so much better than the pacing of StarCraft 2. I highly recommend, even if you don't like it, you don't have any desire to play it, I highly recommend that everybody play at least like 5 to 10 games of Starbow, because after you play it, I feel like you get a different perspective on how StarCraft 2 functions in regards to the pacing, and it makes the pacing of StarCraft 2 feel way more fucked up. where every
So
game is
it's
pretty
gonna make
much.
you hate StarCraft 2 more? Is that what you
Well,
mean?
not hate StarCraft 2, just one aspect of it. Just it's just the idea of like beelining for a maxed army, getting into max versus max fight, and then the game ends, like that kind of stuff. Or
Like a
even
style.
just
Okay. Sure.
yeah, or maybe like 2 or 3 max versus max fights, and then the game ends. You know, the pacing of Starbow just feels so much better than that. It's very hard to max out on that game. Like you can't just sit back macro and max up instantly and then attack. You know.
Well, it doesn't let you build that many units too, right? I mean, I think the supply
Hey, what?
is. I mean, I think the armies can't even be as big, right? Isn't that correct?
No, the armies can be fairly big. I mean, Hydras are one supply. The supply is 200 out of
That's
200.
okay. That's true.
But no, I mean it's
I've
a lot
only
more
played a few
interesting.
games of it. So.
I think it's inarguable that everybody would agree that the pacing of a Brood War game is like infinitely superior to the pacing of a StarCraft 2 game. Brood War games just players who are doing more with lower supply at all points of the game in multiple spots of the map over longer periods of time for each individual battle, whereas in StarCraft 2 it's kind of the rush to the max versus max death ball and then in 2 seconds and then you kind of go from there, you know?
Yeah. True. James, have you played Starbow at all? Because I mean, you guys were throwing around ideas of doing Starbow. I mean, you guys are doing a Starbow event, but even like at a higher scale. So
Yeah, I
have you
mean,
gotten
we're,
a chance to
we're
play
doing
some?
Starbow test cups already,
Right.
just to see, what's going to happen with it. I mean, it's a really interesting development in the space because we finally have this map that everyone kind of theory crafted back when we were complaining about initial design decisions of StarCraft 2 even before it went into beta. We'll just make the Brood War version. It was even an April Fool's joke that we did on Team Liquid that we were going to make SC2 Pro mod, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is kind of it, I think. The thing we have to be careful of is it just the momentum? How balanced can these guys really get it? We have to wait and see, but it's very exciting. I think it has a lot of potential. And the fact that it's getting people who were, feeling down on StarCraft 2 back and interested and excited about what's going on to actually play it and to watch and be interested in it is awesome.
So if you're Blizzard right now,
Oh shit! Real fast.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're about to say, and it ties in a little bit to what you mentioned earlier with the arcade stuff. One thing that I would really like to see changed is I really feel like Blizzard, and this will never happen, obviously. I mean, it's taken them this long to fucking get the arcade to be free, but Blizzard needs to do something about their terms of service for the games that you make. The fact that Blizzard 100 million% owns any IP that you create on like in the Blizzard arcade system is like super fucked in my opinion. I understand that they provide the tools and utilities to do it, and like that's nice and all that, but man, I feel like if the arcade ever did get majorly popular, I feel like that's a really huge disincentive for people to be completely and totally incapable of monetizing something that could, explode in popularity. I really don't like that. I feel like Blizzard needs to change that, but I know they never will.
You know why that happened? I mean,
yeah, because they don't want like Dota to come from there. They don't want an insanely popular game to come from their system. Whatever. Like I fucking understand whether they want to write themselves into like where they're guaranteed royalties or something. I don't know, but they're.
There needs to be a middle ground. There just needs to be a middle ground.
Maybe some kind of middle ground. For me personally, I never, ever, 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 never have and never will in my entire fucking life engage in a contract with another party that jeopardizes my IP, right? And there have been times in the past where I've wanted to start a talk show with, a person on a pro gaming team, or where I wanted to do like different things, and as part of that contract comes up, they're like, yeah, this is really cool, but we have to own the IP of the show in order for this to be okay. And never, ever, ever fucking engage in that because I will never have my own IP leveraged against me. It'll never happen because it's the most disgusting fucking feeling in the world, right? Where you have like musicians who can't even play their own songs because Columbia Records or whoever the fuck like owns the rights to their shit. And I think it's the same thing in StarCraft 2. Like if you were like a major good map maker and shit, it's always to your advantage to create something independent than to ever use Blizzard's construction system, because you essentially forfeit 100% of your rights to the IP to Blizzard, and if your game becomes popular, there's a very good chance that you won't see shit out of it. And I think that's super fucked up in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I do think that there should be a middle ground. I understand why they want to protect it, because they don't want something to come off of their platform that just becomes its own thing and they get nothing out of it, right? But James, like, what do you think? Kind of getting to my original question with Blizzard, Like, what do you think they're thinking right now? I mean, with Starbow becoming more popular, and it's basically a competitor to their, to StarCraft 2 proper, So in a way, it's kind of a weird thing, right? It's like it's
No.
actually their thing, but it's not their thing.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Okay.
Like, okay. First of all, the IP thing. I mean, Blizzard got fucked. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Blizzard got fucked like multiple times with their IPs.
Wait, how?
I mean, Dota, they lost. Simple as that. Kespa, until StarCraft 2 with Brood War, they lost.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how, like, the actual battle that went on
that's
behind
one of
the
the main
scenes
things
with
a lot of people
that
don't know.
Blizzard had with
I know
with
that there was
Brood
a lot
War
of fucked
and
up
the
shit
fact
that went on with. I know there's a lot of fucked up shit that went on with Kespa, but I don't think it's fair to say
Right.
they lost the IP to Dota. They never fucking made it. Like, they don't deserve that IP.
No,
Like, they never made
no.
that game. Like, why would that's not even a battle that they lost. They should have never had it in the first place. They weren't involved in the
from a
creation
business
of.
from a business perspective, they have a responsibility that, listen, if they're going to invest like hundreds and thousands of man hours into tools, like, they do that to create value in the product.
No, but
So
here's the thing, like when you create a
I
plan,
I understand it from a business
go ahead.
perspective on Blizzard's side, and I agree with that. But I'm saying that from the business perspective of somebody who's capable of creating a product that can be monetized, there's no fucking way they'll ever do it on Blizzard's system. It's absolutely fucking insane.
No.
There
No,
are
and I don't
languages
think
out there,
that's what-
Python, C++, like those guys don't own the rights to every program built in those languages.
No, but
like
if you're
I
building a
no,
if
but
you're
look at
building a mod in StarCraft 2 to try and make money, you're in the wrong game engine. It's simple as that. Like, they don't even market it as, hey, you can come make money with us. That's a Valve approach. That's not a Blizzard approach. Blizzard has never ever said, like, listen, come make sweet cash with us making mods.
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
I
they
understand that,
basically
but don't
say,
you think
listen,
that
if
the
you want to make
people?
cool maps that'll teach you how to be a good game designer, and maybe you get hired at one of these game companies, do it. Like, that's literally their messaging. And
Well, I mean,
if you can also make, you could make Starbow in the Source engine. Go
yeah,
for
you
it.
could, yeah, sure.
And then you could monetize that, make a source mod, and then sell it, and then keep your IP.
I mean, right now the tools that they provide are somewhat of an SDK, for other developers to make these mods and arcade games. But the thing is like, in the past with Dota, they got screwed just because like business models back then I think
They
were
didn't get
very
screwed. They
underdeveloped.
never deserved any of it.
No,
Like,
but
they
that's
never
what I
got
mean.
screwed
Like
at all.
business models back then, you can interpret it as them being screwed or not. It's up to you. But
No,
I mean, they didn't get at the time. They did not get screwed because they didn't have any kind of, there were like business models back then were not really
It'd
established.
be like me
for
lending my guitar to like fucking Jimmy Page or some shit, or Jimi Hendrix or
No,
fucking
it's a lot
Led Zeppelin,
different
and then
than
like
that,
they go and record an album with it, and then they make millions of dollars. Like fuck, I got screwed so fucking hard that he made it. Like what? No, like I was never gonna do that with my guitar. Like why? Like I don't know.
Well, okay, so-
I really disagree with the idea that Blizzard for some reason should be getting paid for Dota. Like yeah, it was built in their map maker, but the map maker is like you said, it's like an SDK or like a coding language or whatever. Like I mean, like I said, maybe cut them in on a little bit of royalty if you want, I guess. But the idea that Blizzard is somehow entitled to like a large sum of the money generated by these games, completely and totally independently created, using their tools, but the ideas and the design and all of that was completely not theirs. I disagree that Blizzard gets screwed there. I don't think they were ever entitled to any of it in the first place.
Okay, I mean, so semantics there, I think you're right, all right? But to give you an analogy of what's going on today, like in mobile, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, like Android, and iOS. I mean, they give you the tools, they give you the SDK to build your own mobile products.
Sure,
But
Xbox does it too. The Xbox.
Yeah. But the way they monetize it is they give you the marketplace to distribute your games, right? And they make a cut from that. And that's the thing that the arcade was supposed to be for StarCraft 2. But it hasn't really panned out that way, right? So now, like, they're kind of stuck in the same boat as they were back in the Brood War days, except now they have that restriction in the terms. So that's kind of where they need to fix it. They need to fix it from the standpoint of allowing folks to sell stuff on the arcade, or they're just gonna. They should probably be back into that more of an open state where they are going to be missing out on
Yeah,
games.
I mean that sounds good. And I remember them talking about that like 4 or 5 years ago. I remember Dustin Browder talking about how people would be able to sell their games on the marketplace and
remember
get
that
cut
too.
in. Yeah.
I don't know, James, thoughts? You seem to have a frown on your face.
Okay, simple as this. If you want to use the Blizzard assets and the Blizzard models and the Blizzard maps inside the Blizzard StarCraft engine and sell it for money, don't. Go hire some artists and make a Steam game instead and make a Steam RTS. If you want to make money, go do that. If you want to use the art assets that were in the StarCraft game and use the StarCraft maps and art tools that are in the StarCraft game, then you can't sell it.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't think that's
so
unfair. I don't think that's
no,
unfair.
definitely not. So if you're a shitty developer, you don't have any talent for art, and you're never going to make anything good, go to the arcade. So the arcade will always be flooded with shit tier games because no one who's capable of making money off of development is going to waste their time in the arcade. Because what you're essentially saying is, since you're using Blizzard's tools, you're guaranteed no money from it ever, and that you should just go elsewhere. Like, don't you see how that kind of fucks the arcade over a little bit?
Right now, with the way the arcade system is, because it's not a marketplace, you don't make money. But
yeah, I know.
It's
I'm just saying that,
it's a very low barrier to entry. I can make a map in an hour. I can't make a mod in an hour. Well, I probably could. It'd be a piece of garbage. I could make a much more fleshed out map in StarCraft 2 in an hour with just the existing assets and make something fun and cool to play. And I'd probably learn a lot from it. But if your goal is to, get out of the learning stage and start making something that you can sell, you're in the wrong spot, I think, if you're using the StarCraft engine right now with only StarCraft assets.
But I don't feel like that's what was intended, though. Because this is basically you're talking about the exact same thing that's always been available, probably in Warcraft 3 and in Brood War, and I don't think that was the intention for the amount of work that they've put into these tools, and the sophistication of the tool set. It's really high, and it's potentially higher than most of the other games that provide. So I don't think that's what they wanted, though, James. Like I think they want people to make high, like very, very high quality products. And
yeah, I mean, they have all the art tools in there to even import models from 3D Max and stuff, and it's all pre-streamlined, and it's got a learning curve, and I mean, it's an option. Is it the best option?
You're not wrong about that.
It might be a good option. It might not be a good option for you. But I mean, I think you have some responsibility if you're going to invest hundreds of man hours into making a mod to figure out what the platform does and doesn't allow you to do.
So with Starbow, all right, let's just talk about Starbow. And there's just one guy that's pretty much been supporting it. I mean, developed it, supported it.
No, it's more than that.
Is it more than one? Okay, it might be more than one.
Yeah, I talked to those guys. It's like 5 or 6 guys.
Oh, it's 5 or 6 guys. Okay, so there's a team of them. There's a team of them doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does Blizzard do? I mean, let's say Starbow gets popular. Does Blizzard take over it, or do they?
No, they like it, man. They're all. I mean, most of the people in the community team are playing it. The first thing I did when I started talking to those guys was send them Kevin Johnson's contact so they could talk about the mod and what the sort of stuff they want to do with it. I mean, like, that's the whole reason they have those tools in the first place, right? Is to enable people with a cool idea and to do something creative. So to suggest that it's like competing against StarCraft kind of, I think, misses the point. Like, they want the StarCraft engine to be able to make a whole bunch of games. That's why they made the editor, so that you can make a whole bunch of, remember all those demos they did where people were making like first-person shooters and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Like, they did that so people would get inspired, and now a bunch of dudes have got inspired, and they're making something awesome, so of course they like it.
All right. The thing about the arcade too is that there are a lot of other games too, guys. Not just Starbow and mods, but TB recently did a WT, like what the fuck, whatever, video on the arcade, and there were a lot of different games showcased there, and hopefully some of you guys will check it out. I mean, I've been playing, like, of course, just the normal games I play on Wednesday Night Sprites, but Star Strikers and Zealot Hockey and stuff, and I don't know, I haven't really noticed like a larger amount of players like at the times I play. I play late at night though, so maybe that could be an issue, but I'm not sure it's going to make a huge difference, if they don't market it right. And that's the thing I'm most afraid of, is that making it available is the first step, but the biggest and most difficult step is actually marketing it. And we don't have that. I was talking to James about it. We don't have like a flagship arcade product to really, really push the arcade with right now. There's nothing that I think the entire community just accepts. Starbow's probably the closest thing now, and that's kind of a recent thing. But
maybe, but I don't think Starbow is. I don't think Starbow is like the kind of game that you're looking to push out of the arcade
Yeah,
for
I
casual
agree.
people. You're looking more for like tower defense games or like the RPG-ish games or like the survivor games or those kinds of games. I think are more what you're looking to push than like Starbow. I think Starbow just appeals to the people that enjoy like StarCraft 2 already, like the ladder system and not necessarily the arcade. A little bit of a generalization, but
Yeah, I agree with that.
okay, but speaking of the
I'm still
arcade,
waiting for like the big game hunters fastest map sort of thing to really take off.
yeah, maybe. Unfortunately, like I said, that doesn't work too well. I don't think with StarCraft 2's units. I actually played a free for all on Big Game Hunters using Starbow's units, and it worked a lot better there. I don't remember why, but I tried playing a couple BGHs in the past using just StarCraft 2 units, and for some reason it just didn't feel right. I don't know if it's because of the way the units function or what, but it just didn't have the same feel. But the Starbow one felt pretty good. It felt more like a Brood War BGH.
yeah, I mean, there's so gosh, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of the Star Strike, just Star Strikers, but that game particularly is so polished, and that I don't know, James, what do you think of Star Strikers? Because it's like StarCraft 2, skins and theme with a MOBA control with a sports theme. So I mean, isn't that like a formula for success? I mean. And it's really polished. It's like supported the game, the dynamics of how the powers work with each other are really, really sophisticated. So I don't.
I think they promote Star Strikers pretty well, but it just I don't know. It's a momentum thing, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
sometimes things just catch on for some. Like there's a lot of weird factors that you can't always predict that play into it. Like Brood War's success in Korea, you couldn't predict because of a bunch of weird economic factors that played into it. Same with Dota.
Yeah.
The reason Dota took off in China, that sort of stuff. If you can't predict this stuff, I think it's just statistically some game will perform well, and it takes time. And the environment in StarCraft 2 Marketplace and that isn't the same, and maybe it's not the best. I actually don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's games like Star Strikers that on paper should be the game. And I think for the casual people, they probably are. The other thing is, like, we don't see the numbers. All right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's way more actively played than we expect or think.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll go into some viewer Q&A. Lots of questions in the Reddit thread, and we'll get to them. If you haven't posted them, be sure to get them in there and upvote the ones that you want to be asked on the show. But we'll be right back, guys.